Hey, it's me, your boomer consumer. Today we're looking at the Klipsch R-51m versus the R-41m. Which one should you buy? Well, we're going to talk about it in this video. Now, as a disclaimer, I paid for both of these out of my own funds. No one's reviewed this video prior to posting, and all opinions are my own. Let's talk about the differences between the 51s and the 41s. And I'm going to start with the price. MSRP, although that you definitely buy these much less every day on the internet. The MSRP on this is $298 on the 51 and $240 or $254, I believe, for the 41. So not a lot of difference there, but in the real world, you can pick the 51s up for around 200 bucks, and you can pick up the 41s for around 100 bucks. And Klipsch runs sales all the time. I actually bought the 51s in their Christmas in July sale for $144. If you can get these versus the 41s for $144, okay, we'll stop the video right now and say go ahead and get the 51s. Differences, main differences is you have a 5 1/4 inch woofer. Here is the spun copper woofer. IMG, that stands for injection molded graphite. You get a 4-inch with the 41. That's one difference between the two. Physically, and I had to write this down, the size. The 51 is 13 inches tall by 7 inches wide by 8.5 inches deep at 11 pounds, whereas the 41s are 11 inches tall by 5 3/4 inches wide by 8 inches deep. So the 51 is substantially larger than the 41, all right? Another difference between the two is in the crossover network. The crossover on the 51s is, I believe, at 1500 hertz, and on the 41 it's 1600 hertz. A few other differences. Sensitivity, the 51s are rated at 62 hertz to 21 kilohertz. The 41s is 68 hertz to 21 kilohertz. Power handling is also a difference. The 51s are rated at 85 watts continuous, over 300 watts peak, whereas the 41s are rated at 50 watts continuous, 200 watts peak. These get very loud. The sensitivity of the 51s is 93 dB, and the sensitivity of the 41s is 90 dB. Both of these speakers can get very loud. It doesn't take a whole lot of power to really get these things cranking, which is a good thing. These would work well with a tube amplifier if you're into that sort of thing. I'm more of a solid state guy. I don't really want to mess with tubes, but I think the 41s would make a great surround speaker. I don't think the 51s would do just as well. What do they have in common? Well, first, they're both made out of MDF. They both come only in a ebony vinyl wrap, but they're very attractive speakers, I think. Klipsch does a nice job with the copper look, and even details like the copper screws are both, in my opinion, very attractive speakers. They both come with magnetic grill covers. They both have the same 1-inch aluminum tweeter in what they call their Tractrix horn, which is essentially a waveguide designed to push out those frequencies in a nice dispersion. That's what they do. They both are bass reflex. We're going to look at the back of them in here in just a second. The woofers are made out of the same materials, the same tweeter, a little bit different crossover, a little bit larger in size, and a little bit better power handling capability on the 51M. And there you go. Looking at the back of the 51, can you see the bass port back here? You have your 5-way binding post down below. You can't bi-amp these. It's not for that market. 41s are exactly the same. Binding post, your port on the back, but you do have a keyhole for wall mounting. Why you would want to do that with this bass port right here doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but maybe if somebody wants to put in their 2 cents in the comments, great. Let me know what you think on that. That's the rear of both of these. Now let's talk about the differences in the sound of these two different speakers. Now you would think with having the larger woofer, the 5¼ inch versus the 4" on the 41, that this would sound much deeper, faster, tighter bass. Not so much. I really didn't notice a tremendous difference between the two. One thing is for certain, I found the best bass response when these were about between 12 and 18 inches away from the front wall. All right? A little bit of improvement, a little bit tighter bass, but not enough to justify the price difference, especially if you can't get these on sale. All right, I wouldn't pay $100 for these and $200 for these just because of the bass. So both of these speakers really are going to work well with the system with the subwoofer. All right, that's where you'll get the most. These are not for bass heads at all. Right, these are very lively speakers. The sound, these are excellent. I listen to a lot of jazz. I listen to classical. I listen to some classic rock from the 70s, 80s, 90s. These are very lively speakers, and they do a wonderful job at that. But if you want to get in that deep, deep bass, get a subwoofer. These will not do the job all by themselves. That being said, let's compare the sound between the two. Other than the bass is not that remarkably improved with the 51, I did find the soundstage to be a little better on the 51s. They seem to be a bit more airy. The soundstage was a little taller, maybe a little bit wider with these, and did not require towing in to achieve that. The same with imaging. I was able to, kind of pick out where, someone was playing a flute or somebody was playing, a clarinet, something like that, because I do listen to a lot of classical. And I found that to be a bit easier than on the 41s. Didn't really have to tow these in too much. Now, as far as the mid-range goes, that's where most of your sound comes from on either speakers, from the mid-range. And the vocals are very, very good on either one. All right, so that should not be, I can't say in all honesty the 51 sounded any better than the 41 in mid-range. Not at all. Same with highs to a lesser degree. Because they use the same exact tweeter, the 90 by 90 Tractrix horn with the 1" aluminum tweeter is pretty much identical. And yeah, listening would bear out that they're pretty much identical. But again, I keep going back to the fact these are very lively speakers. If you want something more balanced, then I would look at something different. I have the RP600Ms, and they're much more balanced speaker, even though they're still on the north of neutral on the bright, being a bright speaker. These are lively. I love them. I enjoy that, but you may not so much. So keep that in mind. Let's talk about the 41M. I've already done a review on them. I find these to be really good bang for the buck speakers. Yes, they don't have the bass. You can't expect that they will with the 4" woofer, but the mids and the highs are outstanding, depending on the genre of music you like. Again, I'm classic rock. I am jazz, love good jazz, contemporary jazz, some classical music. So yeah, these are really ideal for that scenario. These are, the 41s tend to be more near field listening. Again, you got that whole power handling thing, 50 watts continuous. They're going to get good and loud, but these are more of a near field type speaker. I think Klipsch also believes a lot of people will use these in a surround sound environment. The 51s handle a lot more power for the money, but is it really worth the difference in price? Well, we're going to talk about that in just a moment. Imaging and soundstage with the 41, quite good. Although I find that I have to tow these in about 15 to 20 degrees or so to get a really good imaging out of these. Soundstage also is affected by this. I tend to keep these closer to the wall at about 9 to 12 inches to get a satisfactory amount of bass. Do not put these right against the front wall. Probably not the best idea. In this SmackDown between the two, here's my thoughts. If you can find the 51Ms on sale for around $140 bucks, I would probably pop the difference for these over the 41Ms. Other than that, I say stick with the 41Ms. I think it's a better value at $100 over, you know, the 200 these are selling for right now. And these vary 99 to 108, and you can look all over the place. But for $200, not so much. I would not, that's too much of a difference for what you're getting price-wise, in my opinion. So the 41M is my favorite of the two, but I'm not disparaging the 51. And if you can get them on sale for around $100, pay less than $50 difference between the two, then I'd say, yeah, go for the 51. Other than that, stick with the 41s. I think you'll be happy with that decision. And that is it. That is the review of the R-51M versus the R-41M. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.